Thank you, Chairman Hill. And Chairman Powell, thank you for joining us today. And I want to commend you again for ignoring the outside noise and staying true to Fed's dual mandate. Chairman Powell, it seems the advent of artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies has helped the United States increase productivity when compared to other countries around the world. That makes our country more competitive and envy of economic growth. So do you believe that this boom in productivity is sustainable in the long term? And if so, how does that increase in productivity affect your models to forecast inflation, therefore monetary policy?
We have had a boom in productivity. It is most welcome. And of course, it would be great if it were sustained. I think if you look at the candidates that try to explain it, some of them are kind of one-time things, and some of them could be more sustained. You mentioned technology and AI. To the extent that's part of it, that could be a sustainable increase in the rate of growth and productivity. To the extent it was more about job reallocation, people switching jobs coming out of the pandemic, that's kind of a one-time thing. Also, we had a wave of startups, a wave of early stage companies, startups. That also tends to be linked to productivity. That too could just be a one-time increase in productivity. Literally, no one has the record of being able to successfully forecast productivity for very long. But again, it's going to depend on many things, and as long as we have this increased productivity, it's most welcome and important.
Thank you. Over the past decade, we've seen Fed intervene with more regular frequency to maintain the orderly functioning of the U.S. Treasury market much more than decades before. It seemed like the private sector was able to manage this without too much Fed intervention pre-financial crisis, and a long-standing and growing bipartisan consensus that the SLR and other regulations may be causing this. If so, what do you think the solution is to reduce the need for frequent Fed intervention?
So I do think we need to work on Treasury market structure, and part of that answer can be, and I think will be, reducing the calibration of the supplemental leverage ratio, as you mentioned. That's something that I have long supported, and for the reason that the quantity of treasuries has grown really significantly, and the capital allocated to intermediating trades in treasuries has not, in fact, has shrunk. So we need a liquid treasury market, and this is one of the things that we can and should do is to reduce the calibration of that measure.
Thank you. I want to go back to March 2023 in response to the fallout of Silicon Valley Bank. It is my understanding that the Fed is analyzing ways to create a more efficient process for financial institutions to access the discount window. One issue that has come up is that it can take extended periods of time to assess and determine the lendable value of collateral, potentially denying the institution's ability to access liquidity quickly. Is the Fed looking at ways to streamline the process to assess and determine the value of collateral at discount window?
We are. We are looking at, so there are sort of impediments to the efficiency of the discount window, and those are things we can work on and we're working hard on. There's also the question of stigma, though, that banks are reluctant to use it because of the so-called stigma of using it, and that is a very hard problem to solve. We're also working on that one.
Regarding the fast review of the discount window operations, can you give us an update on what problems the Fed was able to identify, what solutions you're pursuing, and what the estimated timeline is for any action?
So the study is ongoing right now, the work's ongoing, but essentially, you touched on some of this. It's inefficient, it's slow, and we need to have collateral processes that are very quick and very efficient because they need to be quick and efficient in a crisis. So that's part of it. Just general modernization, investing in technology, modernizing the discount window, that's part of it. The harder part is really turning it into something that banks are comfortable using because they feel it's not stigmatized. And we're working on that too.
The opening the discount window 24/7 could really help the banks in California, especially the state that I represent, the Southern California that I represent. Thank you.
Thank you.